Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Monday Morning Inspirations. Thank you for joining us. And we are being joined by our very own Dr. Chessare this morning. And the title of his message is "We Choose How to Be." And his quote is coming from Catherine Pulsifer. And it says, "The choice to take action to accomplish what you want or what you deserve is entirely up to you. No one is going to seek you out, and no one is going to do it for you. It's your move." How we act and what we say is a choice. We can choose to be in a way that elevates people and moves us forward towards our goals, or our actions can pull people down and be detrimental to the attainment of our goals. Dr. Chessare will present a set of tactics to use in choosing our words and actions to be better leaders. Dr. Chessare has been an active and visionary leader in the healthcare field for more than 3 decades and a pediatrician by training. He earned his medical degree from the University of Rome, completed his pediatric residency at the University of Massachusetts Medical Center, where he served as chief resident in pediatrics, and completed fellowship training in the General Academic Pediatrics at Boston's Children's Hospital, Harvard Medical School. Dr. Chessare completed his Master of Public Health and Medical Care Organization from the University of Michigan School of Public Health. With a proven track record as both a strong executive leader and a highly respected physician, Dr. Chessare has led clinical and administrative teams of organizations toward improvement in health outcomes and patient and staff satisfaction. So without further ado, Dr. Chessare, the floor is yours. And I know you said you have some slides to share with us.
Yes, I do. Good morning, everybody. Gina, thank you so much. And thank you very much for the kind invitation. I was pretty interested when I saw that you folks had been meeting regularly at 8 a.m. I'm sorry that you had to change your schedule because I do new employee orientation every other Monday at 8 a.m., which is what I did today. But I'm delighted to spend some time with you today. So I have a dear friend, one of my mentors. His name is Dennis Wagner. He was a career public servant until very recently, spent his entire career with the federal government. So I'm going to give full credit to what I'm now going to present to what I learned from my dear friend, Dennis Wagner. And I'm going to share a screen with you. And hopefully it shares. Can you see that, Gina?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, good. So as Gina said, my title is we make choices all the time. And one of the things that I learned from Dennis is we should choose how to be. We should be reflecting in the moment about how we are approaching the world and how others are seeing us in the moment. And Dennis always starts when he discusses this by pointing out that humans are set up for this kind of an action-oriented model of behavior, that we're hit with a stimulus and we respond. So my wife, Tracy, who I love dearly, will start to tell me about some bill that I wasn't expecting. And I quickly, because I don't reflect very well by nature, I quickly react with sometimes a 4-letter word because I wasn't expecting the bill. Or we see on our phone, somebody sends us an image of a really cute little puppy, and we react right away. And we're built as a human being for this model of stimulus and response. But a more powerful model is to try to not respond from the brainstem, but to instead train ourselves to reflect, because our actions can then be a choice. Right now, because of the COVID pandemic and healthcare providers' exhaustion at Gilchrist, at GBMC Health Partners, physician practices, and in our hospital, it's common for you to see somebody in the trenches feeling a new stress or an added stress, and how they react really determines what the outcomes will be, not only for the patient, but for themselves as well. And I'm really impressed with, and I know that Dr. Tony Riley is a revered figure in Gilchrist. And ever since I met Tony for the first time, I saw that he was somebody who understood this more powerful model. And I see him reflecting all the time before he reacts. And people that are a little bit more jumpy like me, we need to spend a little bit more time working on this model. And Dennis Wagner, again, my colleague and friend, always points out that Viktor Frankl is a 20th century figure that has really helped us understand this more powerful model deeply. Frankl was a Jew, and he was in a concentration camp during World War II. He was treated with all kinds of incredible indignities and incredibly harsh treatments. And in his book, he talks about having all this time to reflect. And he came to the conclusion that the meaning of life was the search for love. And he tells stories in his book about how he was being treated with these incredible indignities by the guards, and how he would focus instead on the love of his wife. He would, when he was given an indignity, when he was slapped or kicked or made to march in the cold without proper footwear on, he would instead focus on the face of his wife and think about how much he really loved her. And he was not about to allow his guards, the guards that were treating him inhumanely, he was not about to let them change the way he was going to be, that he was going to stay focused in the love for his wife. So I don't know, you may, if you get a chance, you may want to check out his book, Man's Search for Meaning. And our choices, maybe we're not going to be in such a horrendous situation as Viktor Frankl, but our choices matter immensely. Right now, and even on a normal day for Gilchrist, when we get back to what is more normal, it's much easier for us to achieve our own goals, lead our teams towards the larger goals, if we intentionally choose our actions. Now, right now, let's keep using the pandemic as sort of the model, because we're deeply in it. There's kind of two ways we can be acting globally. And again, I'm sure you're seeing this play out in your daily work, in your daily life right now. There are those of us that are kind of getting consumed by the pandemic. There's an individual clinician who I won't name, who This person is a fabulous human being, has done fabulous work, but every time I see him, he's kind of in the victim box. He's wants to tell me the story of what's negatively happening in the moment, and he is pretty angry, and he's not consumed by the focus, but it's really preventing him from being in action towards solutions. And I'm sure that the other people around him are seeing this as well. On the other side, there's many people in every unit at GBMC, all over Gilchrist, and in all of our health partners' practices that are reflecting on the stimulus of, oh my God, it's one more patient that I have to deal with without my usual tools. Or I'm dealing with a patient who is really upset, but they look at it as an opportunity. They're looking at it as a chance to solve a problem, and they're sort of expecting the next challenge that comes up rather than lamenting the next challenge. And they see themselves as being a positive force for change. And we'll see in a minute, they ask themselves and others a bunch of effective questions, starting with the word what or how. Okay, so today we have 3 patients calling into our advanced primary care office at Padonia, and it's going to be really difficult to actually see them in person. What might we do to meet this patient's needs? As opposed to saying, oh, why is this happening to us? We'll never get through this. When is this darn pandemic going to end? So this focus between negative and positive energy, if you think about it, they're additive. And the more positive statements, the more positive feelings that come up during an event or an encounter, the more likely it is that we're going to move forward. And every time somebody laments or wants to perseverate on a discussion of the problem rather than a discussion of the solution, it kind of pulls us back and it kind of slows us down. So this concept, which is one of the concepts I learned from my colleague, Dennis Wagner, is the leader should be working hard to create the notion of net forward energy. Even the most positive person is going to stumble in a bad moment and create some negative energy. But if the net is many more positives than negatives, we move forward. We move forward towards our vision. We move forward towards a solution. We move forward in action to help somebody else. So this concept of net forward energy is what we're trying to do. And the leader sets the tone by making the choice to be positive, to be listening, to not be reacting negatively when things come up that bother him or her. So the reflection for this morning is about staying conscious about our in the moment choices, because what we think, what we are thinking in the moment, and what we say and therefore spread to others will make all the difference. If we can stay focused and move our teams in the correct direction, then it's going to be better for everyone, especially ourselves. So leadership starts with a self-accountability. I'm not very good at this. I'm jumpy. I have to consciously, when I find myself in a position where I could go either way. I have to consciously talk to myself about staying positive. And this is the choice that we have to make in difficult situations. And leaders hear the developing voices in others and encourage them. So the leader also, as he or she is staying positive, doesn't want to spend a lot of time with the people that are being negative, but wants to make an example of the people that are reflecting and creating that net forward energy. And therefore, the leader is aligning those emerging leadership voices that are generating net forward energy to move forward on the strategic efforts. And I love to reflect on our vision phrase. It was actually, I think, a stroke of genius, and it was not my stroke of genius. It was actually Dr. Melissa Sparrow, who way back in 2010 at our board visioning retreat made the comment that what we should be trying to do is to bring to every patient the care we would want for our own loved ones. And when we created that vision phrase, it has been incredibly unifying. And when a member feels compelled to state it, it can turn the direction from net negative energy to net positive energy pretty quickly. So let me make a comment about effective questions. And here I've got a photo of my friend and mentor, Dennis Wagner, who won the service award for government employees about 4 or 5 years ago for his incredible career with moving people forward. And he taught me a very effective trick. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I know we're starting to run out of time, but I was the chief medical officer at Boston Medical Center. And at my first big meeting with the people that reported to me, who were the chair people of the departments of Boston Medical Center, I had been confronted by the chief of medical records. And this is back in the days when just before electronic medical records, I'd been confronted by the director of medical records, who said to me, "Oh, John, I hate to do this to you as you're just arriving in your job, but we have a huge problem." And I said, "Fine, what is it?" And she said, and don't quote me on the exact number, but something like, "We have 1,000 delinquent medical records." And for those of you that are not into this topic, what a delinquent medical record means is that the documentation has not been finished. So imagine your loved one spent a week at Boston Medical Center, either because she was sick or she had a procedure, and now it's 30 days later, but the documents explaining exactly what happened to her, and the big one is called the discharge summary, were not completed, such that if you had to return your loved one to the hospital, especially for a visit in the emergency department, those clinicians likely had not been involved in your loved one's care, and now they had to figure out what to do without the documentation complete. So that's just to set the stage. So I went to my first meeting not armed with the tool I'm about to teach you. And I started the meeting by telling them the story and saying, how would you want, what if this was you accompanying your loved one? And boom, the floodgates opened and every chair took a turn to tell me why the problem was happening and why it was not his or her fault. We then spent the next 45 minutes out of an hour with people discussing the problem. I now, reflecting on this, know that that was a total waste of time. At the end of that meeting, the best thing I could do was reschedule another conversation. We'd actually wasted 1 hour of meeting time because I did not start the meeting with an effective question. The way I now know that if I'm running a meeting to fix a problem, I always start the meeting and I tell the people we are running the meeting on, and then I give them the question. And it would have been, in that instance, what can we do to reduce the number of delinquent medical records? So I tried that after I learned it, not with that problem, but with the next problem. And it was amazing, because once you say to humans, we're going to run the meeting on what can we do, you take off the table the opportunity for people to repeat and perseverate stories about the problem that gets you nowhere. And you get them into an innovation mindset where they start putting solutions on the table in response to your what or how question. Because when we ask the question why, or a question starting with the word who, we almost never make much progress. So these are just some examples of effective questions that start with the word what. And these are some examples of ineffective questions that start with many of them. Well, these are just ineffective questions. They don't generate net forward energy or solutions. So I want to come back to where I started, examples of choice. We should come to work or come to endeavor, come to interactions with our families, trying to generate net positive energy, because our lives will be much more rewarding. We will achieve much more, and life will be more fun. And this is, again, the image of the net forward energy. And I'm going to end with this slide that Dennis Wagner also pointed out to me, that humans have this uncanny ability to come to the table frequently at work and talk about problems. And Dennis pointed out to me that talking about what you're going to do is not real work. Real work only happens when you make a formal commitment to others, you deliver on those commitments, which will force you to be doing real work, or you secure commitments from others to become a part of the solution. And those are the definitions of real work. So I'm gonna end there. And I'm very grateful for having been given the opportunity to spend some time with you today. I'm happy if we have some more time to open it up to conversation.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Chessare. Some good pointers. We choose how to be, and we are accountable to ourselves, our actions, so we can affect other people if we choose to be negative, and then we see we can affect people when we choose to be positive. So we're going to open up the floor now. If anyone has a comment or a question for Dr. Chessare, please unmute, share your thoughts about what you heard so far. Don't be shy.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Hi, Miss Gay. How are you?
I'm good. Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
Welcome to 2022. It's nice to be here with you all. Just wanted to thank Gilchrist again for this wonderful opportunity this morning. Thank you. Thanks to the guests. Really appreciate today's presentation. And I just wanted to chime in. I think it was really great that you brought up Viktor Frankl's book, The Search for Meaning. It's a book that really has blessed my life. And I agree, with the conclusion about being reflective, as he was during his time of extreme abuse and torture. And being reflective reminds me that we need to be intentional about our attitudes, right? Because our attitudes can definitely determine our altitudes, as you were saying, sir, the net energy. The more positive we are, the further we can get in progress with our goals. But oftentimes, it might start with the intentional effort to consider what our attitude is. And then that can determine our altitude and how far we will go, as well as those around us. So thank you very much this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gay.
My pleasure.
Would anyone else like to make a comment or share a thought based off of what you heard from Dr. Chessare this morning?
I'd like to say something sort of building off of what Gay said, and thank you, Dr. Chessare. It's been very thoughtful of you and causing me to think a lot that in the midst of this pandemic, when we've all felt so unsettled, something that it reminds me of and a choice that we can make every day is being thankful and grateful for every single day. At Gilchrist, one of our lines is we help people cherish every moment of life. And we have to remember that ourselves, that even in the midst of very unsettling times, there is much to be thankful for and grateful for. But we have to focus on that rather than the worry of what we can't control.
Absolutely. Great points.
Thank you, Jane. Would anyone else like to share, have a comment or question for Dr. Chessare? And Dr. Chessare, I know when we first spoke about inspirations, you had asked for a little feedback about it. And these are exactly why we do these every Monday morning and why we started it, which was to inspire people, to give them a little bit of encouragement and hope as they start their week off. And as we all know, it has been trying times and difficult, but we have to still see, like Jane and Gay just said, see the positive in everything. And, my grandmother would always tell me, if you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the what? The problem. So in helping to be part of the solution moving forward, I hope that we can all take heed to what we heard today. And as we move forward, we think about what can we do, how we can be positive, how we can be accountable to ourselves first and to those around us. And remember that every day we have a choice to be great, to be leaders. Somebody is always watching, whether we're at work, at home, in the streets, it's somebody always watching to see how you act and respond. So we thank you, Dr. Chessare, for your leadership and for everything that you've been doing. We thank you for taking this time. We know you are extremely, extremely busy. So I would like to say we appreciate you very much for taking this time to share with us this morning. And hopefully, if you're not busy in the days to come, we can have you join us again when all of this is behind us. We're looking forward to the positive when COVID is behind us and we're back to a normal life. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Please enjoy your Monday. Enjoy the rest of your week and stay safe.